Wattpad review. Now we're going to be going into Baby is up from her nap, but I'll be lurking. Check out my book club if interested. Otherwise, I'll be back here for streams. Love to have found someone else pushing reading here on Twitch in general. Awesome textual. I will totally be one of your followers if I can. We'll be checking out your book club. Did Read to Write More stop by today? I don't think Read to Write More stopped by during when I reviewed her book either, did she? Did she? I don't remember. Read to Write More. I don't think so. I don't remember her being present during her, or at least she didn't chat during her review. Did she? I actually got to meet my favorite author once when I was like 19. I asked him if he could give me some advice, and he was kind of in a hurry, so all he said was, write it again. And I was kind of disappointed at the time because it sounded like a non-answer, but he was right. Yep. When I told my husband I was writing my book again, he was like, are you freaking kidding me? Why? And I was like, because I've learned so much since the last time I wrote it. And I have like a better grasp on the stories and the parts of the story that are important and characters that are irrelevant that I spent, however many words describing and including in the plot that they can get cut. You want to keep the story interesting. You want to keep it fun. You want to make sure the vibe's right. And you learn a lot about writing as you continue. Yeah. That is good advice. Write it again. Write it again and write it again. I get annoyed by my first few chapters of my book because I've rewritten them so many times that it's like I genuinely do not enjoy them anymore, which sucks. That's the write it again type of stuff where I'm like, can I just not write it again? But I always have to start from the beginning because it's important to the plot to start from the beginning for what happens later, at least in my book. But I don't like writing the first chapter again. I'm always like, I'm going to get to the fun parts. Let me write the fun scenes. When you're first writing, it all comes out so quickly. It's like almost like you're like spilling. You're like just trying to get all of your stuff. You actually don't have to write in order. No, I don't have to write in order. But when I have these like ideas, I always want to, I want to make sure that the beginning sets up for a later. You can put it in sections and tie them together later. I bought Scrivener. So I'm very excited about Scrivener. It is such a cool software. It's freaking expensive, but a little Christmas present to me. As if I didn't get enough for Christmas. I got 10 billion books and writing software for myself for Christmas. And dude, I'm almost ready to get a new book or a new laptop because this thing is dying. It is making so much noise right now and it's so loud. You're right. I don't remember them showing up to your chat. They sent you a thank you message. I was wondering because I liked Sevenfold Fate's writing style and she said she would check out the review. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. She did write a comment. She has a good writing style. And I think that Sevenfold Fate, Read to Write More is that she has a good writing style for sure. Mm-hmm. Good for Wattpad for sure. Wattpad. It looks so cool. I wish they had a mobile version though. Cause at first I bought the mobile version for my phone and it sucked. Cause I have an iPhone, so I could get one. And I was like, I did not just pay $23 for this crappy app. I didn't like the mobile version. So I requested a refund and got it and deleted it from my phone and then got it on my desktop. That's what I did. Hang on. I gotta blow my nose again. I feel like I remember her briefly stopping by chat, but she didn't say much. I don't remember her being here at all. But she did write a comment on the YouTube and was basically like, thank you. And that she was like very inspired by me completely like gushing over her book. So, and it was just the beginning of the book. She's still writing it and I haven't even kept up with it. I've kept up with like a couple of chapters. So I'm actually chapters behind on that. I'm just reading so much right now. And actually, that's a good segue into my next subject, which is which books I will be reading this year. Da, da, da. 2025 book list. So I had a New Year's resolution to read. I was like, I'm going to read 30 books. I'm going to pick out 30 books, and my New Year's resolution will be to finish all of those books this year. And in my head, because I told my husband that, he's like, 30 books, that will take you like a month. You can read books so fast. No, I can't. I can't read books that fast. I have a whole life. If I'm thinking, okay, there's 52 weeks in a year. If I go at about a book a week, then that's 52. But I'm accounting for when the kids are sick, when I want to write instead of read, when I'm reading an extra long book, when something crazy is going on. So I was like, 30 books. That's solid. And if I have time to read more, I absolutely will. And I will buy more. But yeah. Yes, and when my family is home, I cannot read as much, which is why I still haven't finished The Princess Bride, even though I freaking love this book. But when my family's home, I do not have time to read hardly anything at all. So, anyways, I'm really looking forward to everybody going back to work, everybody going back to school next week. Hang on, I'm going to cough and blow my nose really quick. I'm still on mute. Great. Okay. Without further ado, here is my 2025 book list. So the 30 books that I have picked out are these guys, and I have them all right here. So these are not 30 books, but the Witcher series is massive. So I counted that one as like all the different ones. At first I was like, I'll just count a series as one book, because if I'm reading a series, I'll probably blow through it really quickly. But then I was like, that's stupid. Then you won't ever read all of these books. So hang on, I'm about to do this. My throat's drying out. Okay, so, and these are not in order. I don't exactly know which order I'm going to be reading them in, but this is like a general order. I'll probably just go based off of my mood. But these are the books that are on my list for 2025. So the first book is The Idiot. This is one, came back for the list, saw the sneeze, disgusting. The Idiot is listed twice. There's 2 books called The Idiot. There's a reason for that. I have The Idiot by Emily Elif Botman, excuse me. And then The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Thank you, textual. Well, now I'm the idiot. No, you're not. You were trying to be helpful, and I appreciate it. But I also did not double check. I just threw this together like 5 minutes before the stream started, so thank you, Cherry, you freaking angel. Okay, so The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I'm just gonna go there. Really looking forward to that, about a innocent guy who gets screwed over for being naive, written by Dostoevsky, who is becoming my favorite author. So I'm very excited about reading this, and I really want to read it soon. So it's at the top of the list. So are Demons, supposed to be really funny. This is inspired by the true story of a political murder that horrified Russia in 1869. Sounds hilarious. So anyways, going to read this book at some point. They're thick, and it's Dostoevsky, so it's not like a light reading. And then The Brothers Karamazov, which is supposed to be the pièce de résistance of Dostoevsky's stuff. Definitely supposed to read it last. Supposed to be really funny. And by the way, Dostoevsky's not known for being funny, but anyways, I'm really, really excited to get to this one. Because it's supposed to be like one of his best ones. And anyways, so I might buy some of his novellas after I'm done with these, because I've heard that some of White Knights, I've heard White Knights is overrated, but I've heard a lot of things about a lot of his stuff. So anyways, might read more of him after this, but this is all I have of Dostoevsky that I plan on reading this year. Again, this is not an order. This is just kind of my order of being excited to read it, I guess. Then the other Russian book that I got, just because if I'm going to be in my Russia era, I better just stick it out and make the books go by faster, because I'll be in the same language, or the same like a vibe. Like, I like to read all of Jane Austen, and like if I'm reading something from like the 1700s, if I'm like already speaking that language, it's easier for me to pick up another book in that language. Whereas if I'm bouncing from like something silly to something serious, like it's a little bit harder for me to like kind of catch my breath because I'm reading them so close together. But excuse me. Anyways, excited to read this one. Then I want to read a light romance. This is upside down. A light romance. Eleanor in Park, which is just a coming of age, cute high school romance one that B recommended. And I'm really looking forward to reading this. It looks super, super cute. So anyways, yes, on this one, I figured it would be a nice break after I read all of the Russian stuff. This one, again, upside down. Hello, Atala. I cannot read that, but welcome to the chat. This is I Heard You Paint Houses by Charles Brandt. Now, if you aren't aware, y'all gonna make me get the computer out again. Gonna bring out the hammer. I Heard You Paint Houses by Charles Brandt. This is, if you've heard of The Irishman, it's on the cover. Yeah. Frank the Irishman Sheeran and Closing the Case on Jimmy Hoffa. And it's a mob book. This is a nonfiction book, about the guy who, about a mobster. And it looks good. So I want to read this. I don't have a lot of nonfiction in my list, but I really want to read this. This looks super good. They based The Irishman off of it. I love a good mob story. I would love to learn about that world. Charles Brandt claims to be an ex-mobster who killed guys. I heard you paint houses. Painting houses means killing people, because you're painting the house with their brain matter with your gun. But anyways, I heard you paint houses. I really want to read this one just because I want to learn more about the mob life, and just like organized crime in general. Supposedly his story isn't completely true and he wasn't the actual killer of Jimmy Hoffa, but it's still a great story and I loved the movie. Thank you, Felsda. Yes. So whenever you read these like books written by mobsters, they're always considered not true. They always like paint themselves in this crazy light, and they say all these things where it's like, there's no way that's true. So it's kind of like based on a true story, but I think it's going to read like a nonfiction. So I'm excited about reading this. I heard it's really good. So, but these mobsters are not going to tell the truth. They're not going to incriminate themselves, and they're also going to make themselves look like total bosses. And a lot of times they're not, and they do bad things, and instead they're just going to write about the bad things that other people did, and they're going to write it so it's more interesting. These guys are not good people. They don't care about journalistic integrity. They're just going to say crap and try and make money off of their book and try and get famous, right? That's their thing. Anyways, still understanding that light, I still want to read it. They based a book off of it. I loved them. They based a movie off of it. I loved the movie. And I really am interested in that. And again, learning more about this world. I've read a handful. At least his story is the best one out there. Who killed Jimmy Hoffa, since it's still an unsolved crime. Yeah. Yes. Who killed Jimmy Hoffa? Great question. I always remember that part in The Sopranos when the FBI come to raid the Sopranos house, and they're interviewing like Carmela, and Carmela is Tony Soprano's wife. Tony Soprano, if you're not familiar, is like the mob boss of his family, and of his mob family. And his wife Carmela is like also like a total boss. Like she knows what's going on, but she's kind of like this more sympathetic character throughout the series. And the FBI is like raiding their house, and she's like totally annoyed that they're screwing up their house. And they're like, where was your husband, was your husband involved in any way in the assassination of JFK? And she's like, well, he was 6 So I don't think so. Like, it's just funny because like people have all these conspiracy theories of involvement of politicians. And this is not a conspiracy theory. Jimmy Hoffa was obviously connected into the mob world. But anyways, really looking forward to reading this. I think it'll be a really good read. I actually bought it for my husband, but he's not a reader. And I was trying to force him to be a reader, and he's not. But luckily, I bought myself some good nonfiction books that I thought he would like, that I'm just going to end up reading because I think it'll be really good. So, anyways, I Heard You Paint Houses is on my list. Dang it. It's doing that thing again. Hang on. Everybody just ignore my computer having a crap attack. What do we make? Okay. I fixed my computer. Amazing. I apparently can't set my books down very heavily or my computer will get jealous and will start attacking me. I need a new computer. I took it into the shop to get fixed, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll get a chance to look at it." And I was like, "Actually, I'm in the middle of writing something, so I want to keep it." Like, I took it in, and then I just came back a few hours later, and I was like, "You didn't get a chance to look at it? Okay, I'll just take it." So I really need to just let my computer go for a few hours so that this guy can take a look and probably just like screw in, like get a new fan or something. This reading list is decently long for 2025. I should make one too. Yes, you totally should make one too. You should join the book club, actually, Felsda. If you're going to make a reading list, we can all talk about all the books that we're reading. And if we have like books that are on the same, like if any of these books are going to be on your list, then maybe we can like coordinate and read them at the same time. That would be fun. Yes, that would be very, very fun. Everybody can put together their reading list. This is my personal list. I've given up hope that everybody's going to read every book that I'm going to, but if there's like a, synchronization that we can do, that would be good. I read 99% nonfiction, but I would love to anyways. So I don't have the only other nonfiction. Okay, so I'll tell you this. I have the Norm Macdonald book, which is his memoirs, and he's a comedian, and he wrote a book, and that is their memoirs, so they're in the nonfiction section. And then the other nonfiction book I have is Mornings on Horseback, which is a David McCulloch book. So if you read a lot of nonfiction, maybe you've read David McCulloch. And so anyways, that's on my list, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But next on my list is Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain. These are comedies, kind of like Dreadful. The Norm memoirs. Yes, the Norm memoirs are going to be hilarious. It's pretty short, and it says based on a true story, and it like opens up talking about like the guy who did, it's Norm humor. It's amazing. So if you like Norm, you're going to love the book. I'm excited to get to that. Anyways, so Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain, 2 books in the series, and it's supposed to be just really, really funny. And it's basically about this villain. He's like it's like Dreadful kind of, where it's like the main character is like this evil villain, and he has this assistant, and this assistant's like just reminds me of me. Very chipper, very smart, good at doing their job, and just like a great assistant. Whenever I was an assistant, man, I killed it. So, and then he's like falling in love with her, and he's like, but no, you're making everybody happy. We're supposed to be miserable. You're driving up productivity, which is great, but I don't want things to be great. I want them to be bad. And so it's like, anyways, it's supposed to be funny. So I'm looking forward to reading those. Then after that, I put the Black, Red, and White series by Ted Dekker, which I'm really excited about reading as well. About, what's real and what's not. It's a thriller, so I'm really excited about that. I may, I don't know what order I'm going to be reading these in, but Cherry, if you are reading these again, let me know, and then we can read them at the same time. So anyways, Black is the first one. Basically, I think he's like, oh my gosh, they're so shiny. Shiny books. Yeah, because they're new. My sister got me these when she didn't get me the used ones. So very shiny. Ooh. But this series is good. It's a is it like sci-fi or fantasy thriller? I'm not sure. I will for sure. I was going to wait for you to read them. Okay, well, we'll just coordinate. Well, you'll let me know when a good time for you to start them is, and I'll let you know, and then I'll just start them there. I'll be listening to the audiobook. Yes, that's what I mean. That's what when you read them. You listen to the audiobooks a bit faster than I read them. Anytime. Okay, I wonder if then I should move up the black, white, and red. And I don't know what order they're in. I know it starts with black. Black, white, and red. That's how I'm going to say it. But after I'm done with Princess Bride, I'll touch base with you. Okay? Totally up to you. Or me. Sorry. Okay. Sounds good. Next on my list is The Coldest Girl in Coldtown. And it's by the amazing Holly Black. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Holly Black, she wrote the Folk of the Air series. It's black, red, and white. Okay, sorry. Holly Black wrote the Folk of the Air series, which is one of my favorite book series ever. But the audiobooks are super easy because I can do other things while I listen to them. So for real, whenever they fall on your list. But I don't want you to have to wait for me to read it. I can just move it up my list. I've been wanting to read Dostoevsky, but I couldn't get anybody to read it with me, so that's why I've been putting it off. Anyways, The Coldest Girl in Coldtown is okay, again, Holly Black, incredible author. So her book series, The Folk of the Air, was so good to me that I will read anything that she's written. In fact, I have all of my next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My next 6 books are written by her. I'll see if there is an audiobook for The Idiot. No. Don't do that. If you're going to start Dostoevsky, you have to start with Crime and Punishment. Read that audiobook, that book. It is good. You would like it, I think. It's not a fantasy, obviously. It's really good, but you don't. I've heard nobody recommend starting any other Dostoevsky without first starting with Crime and Punishment. So definitely get that one first. And then you can read along with me. And then next time after that, you can read Notes from Underground. Because I think that they say Dostoevsky's somebody you got to warm up to because his writing style. So anyways, do that first. But do whatever you want. I'll check in with you after I'm done reading The Princess Bride, which will hopefully be this weekend. I've been wanting to read it so bad. And you know what I'm going to do, actually? Because on top of the Wattpad books and on top of my actual reading, I also read to my daughter every single night, chapter books. And we just finished every single Roald Dahl book. So if you're not familiar with Roald Dahl, that's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, the BFG, James and the Giant Peach. Anyway, there's 12 books. Crime and Punishment looks too thick and old for me. There's 2 Crime and Punishments, and they are 20 hours. It's a long book. It's a good book. Read it. It is so good. I love that book. Obviously, I love that book. It's good. It changes you. I don't know. I gave such a long just read my synopsis. It's so good. It's so good. I don't believe the hype. Do whatever you want, but you can't say until you've read it. Don't hack it till you tried it. Okay, Belsda? You got to read it. I'll see which narrator I like more. I love that there's 2 choices from. Well, the thing is it's been translated because it was originally written in Russian, so it's been translated by a bunch of people. I got all of my translations for Dostoevsky by the same translators just because I liked them. Wait, there are 5. Yeah, there's going to be a lot. It's one of the greatest books of all time. Felsda. Dang, maybe I'll have to give it a read after all. Give it a read after all. It is good. It's a really good book. It's I never wanted to read it. I'd heard of it, but I'm not like into dark or depressing stuff at all. So I was like, I'm never gonna read something like that. But I saw some quotes on Pinterest of all places from Crime and Punishment, and I was like, maybe I'll check it out. Checked it out, and I was like, dang, this is incredible. I see why people like this book so much. I see why it's so incredible. Anyways, what I was saying is I also read to my daughter, and so she's about to finish I read to her. She can read, but she can't read that well. I read to her every night from these chapter books, and we just finished all of the Roald Dahl books. And so next I was like, I'm gonna read her The Princess Bride, because this is a kid's book. Like, this is perfect for a kid, and she would love it, and it's funny, and it's silly, and it's exciting, and I would love to read it again right after I'm done reading it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this book, and I think I'm going to move it into her, because she has her own library, way bigger than my library. I buy her crazy amount of books. She has a ton of books, and my son has a ton of books. Like, I'm book crazy. In fact, I went out and bought some more shelves, the exact same shelves that I have here, and I was going to put them, they're kind of like over on this side, you can't see it. I was going to get more shelves, and my husband said, no, just get a box and put them in the box. And I said, what? Excuse you? I'm not going to put my books in a box. I can't see them in a box. And he's like, yeah, you can pull out the box and you can look at them. And I was like, that's not how it works. I want to be looking at my books. I want to be surrounded by my books. It makes me happy. And he didn't get it. He still doesn't get it. And The Little Prince is a great kids book that is good for adults too. Yeah, I have it. I think I do. I have The Little Princess, The Secret Garden. So these are my kids' books that I was gonna read to my daughter. But The Little Prince is in her library already. She has The Little Prince. She has a lot of really good ones. There's one read by Michael Sheen. Michael Sheen? Is he the guy from The Quick and the Dead? Gonna look him up. Related to Charlie Sheen? I'm looking him up. That's the actor from Good Omens. Hang on. There's two actors in Good Omens. Michael Sheen. Yep, he's the one I was thinking of. He is also in Twilight. He plays Aro or something. British guy, friends with David Tennant, who is my favorite ever. Yes, get that one then. You clearly have a favorite. But it's a really, really good book. Anyways, Little Prince is on my list. Thank you for that recommendation, Textual. I'm going to let her pick out the next book that she wants to read. I think she's picked out Alice in Wonderland because I got her like a really cool looking Alice in Wonderland book. So I think that's what we're going to read next. But anyways, this is going to be on her reading list because I'm going to read this one to her because I think she would really, really like it. Yeah, are you talking about that he was in Twilight? That's like the big thing I know him from. I know he's in so much stuff, but my daughter is 14 months and really likes the Brown Bear books. I can't wait to read even more to her. Dude, okay, so Textual, my daughter's 5, and if she really likes books, never, ever, ever stop reading to her. It is the best thing for her brain, for her language development, for her future. So my daughter had an interest of reading books since she was a little tiny itty bitty baby. She would just sit in my lap and I would read to her all day. We had all of her little board books. Brown Bear was one of them. Basically anything Eric Carle, of course. Dr. Seuss, all of the Dr. Seuss books, all of like the random like little books. I would always just pick them up whenever they were on clearance. Is any Crime and Punishment translation good? I'm about to download a version from 2012, but there's a new translation from 2017. Okay, so hang on, let me get this out. Mine is from, I've got this huge stack of books. Hang on. Richard Pavir and Larissa Volokhonsky. That's who my translations are from. I've only read their translations from these books. And I know this says The Idiot, but it's the same translators for my version of Crime and Punishment. And they're award-winning translators. and they're really good. And they've translated a bunch of Russian books, and then so anyways, they did like Anna Karenina, they've done all of Dostoevsky, they did Leo Tolstoy, which I forget what that book is called, but anyways, they've done a few different translations of different books, but I like their translation if you could have access to it. But I'm sure it'll be fine, whatever you get. Can you say when it was published? Let me get my Crime and Punishment one. This is an edition. So this is the Bicentennial Vintage Classics edition. So this, I don't know if that changes the published date. Oh, it says 1992. Translation copyright 1992 by Richard Pavere. Okay. So apparently this translation has been around for a while. What's the cover look like? Right here. But they have different covers for these translators too. There's dozens. Yeah. People love this book. I mean, it's a good one. By the way, look at my freaking Charles Dickens Great Expectations. Look at how ripped to shred it is. This is a ripped up book. I was like cleaning out my books and I was like, man, this poor sad book. I'm going to try, if I ever learn to do the rebinding of books, I'm saving this book so I could rebind it. I want to like salvage this book because it was like the first like real book I ever read. And so I was like, it wasn't my first real book, but it was my first like piece of literature I'd ever read. So I wanted to keep it because it got me out. After this, I read Pride and Prejudice, and then I read, what did I read after that? But anyways, I started reading like real books, I guess. But look how ripped it is. It's so sad. I might just get the Barnes & Noble Classics edition. I'm trying to find the right version for the audiobook. Just don't worry about the version. I think that it's still gonna, they're not, don't worry about it as far as like what the translators are. I was just saying, if you can get those translators better. Learning leaning on the Michael Sheen one, but that I want to make sure it's the same translation. Don't worry about it's the same translation. I'm sure they're going to be similar enough where it's not a huge deal. I'm sure that he's not going to read some crappy translation. And who knows, maybe the other translation's better than what I read. I don't know. Anyways, sorry, back to you, textual. I don't know if you're still paying attention, but I read to my daughter nonstop. And I talked to my daughter nonstop. And I always used the best verbiage that I possibly could. And we had to petition to get her enrolled in kindergarten early. And so she was called an early learning kid. So they have to watch her closely and make sure that she's not accidentally in kindergarten too early. And she is the smartest kid in her class. So my first piece of literature was Dracula because my mom said it wasn't allowed to touch it. I was an early learning kid, but it wasn't because I was smart. It was because my mom didn't want to pay for daycare anymore. So she petitioned to have me enrolled in school early. And I read Dracula. Dracula was my first like horror story, and I wanted to read it because one of my characters is based off of that guy. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. I was an early learning kid, and so I was younger than everybody else, and so I grew up being younger than everybody else and not seeing that as a disadvantage whatsoever. I thought it was nice because you're getting like a jump on everything, and you also don't want to be like the first kid in your class to develop, nobody wants to do that. So I don't know. I was like, there's so many benefits to being the youngest kid in your class. You're always like going to be trying to keep up with the kids instead of just being bored waiting for the other kids to keep up with you. Like there was a lot. Anyways, so my daughter, and I'm totally bragging right now because she's a total genius, is so smart that she burned through, and I did reading lessons with her. We did flashcards for the sounds of the alphabet, and I tried to teach her to read before kindergarten and stuff. in economic. I will end up reading politics and economic books to my baby. Brag away. That's awesome. Yeah, read whatever you want to the babies, because to your babies, because they're in the grammar stage, I think, until they're like 8, or it could be, it's like 8 or 11 or something. They're in the grammar stage and for a certain period. And then when they say kids are sponges, they mean kids will just absorb everything. They won't know what to do with that information, right? But they're listening. They're watching the nature show. They're learning about these animals. They're reading these books, and they're learning everything. So the more you tell them at this young age, the more that they're going to get. And they're soaking it all in, and they want to know. They're eager to know. Then they get to the age where it's the grammar stage, kill me, hang on. Oh, wrong book. Sorry, wrong book. Okay, this is my Well-Trained Mind book. Hold up. Come on. Shoot. Dang it. So I have this book, Control F, that's Shift, come on. What? So yeah, seriously, can I Control F everything in my freaking house? But anyways, there's the grammar stage, which is where they're going to be learning everything. Like you want to soak them all in. So I never ever miss an opportunity to read to my daughter. I will spend an hour in her room reading to her. And I'm reading fiction to her. I'm reading stories that are interesting to her. She is learning so much from these fiction stories. What's that book? This is The Well-Trained Mind. So I bought this because it's a classical education homeschooling book. And I was considering homeschooling my daughter, because I was like, the education system in the US is not great. And I really, really hear a bunch of second language content too, wouldn't it? Absolutely. So they have, so one of the things that is recommended for kids, if you are a bilingual family, is to speak both of those languages constantly as a family. Your child will take longer to say their first words, but when they say their first words, they will be speaking both languages. So they have immersion programs in schools where they only speak like a certain language. At school, there's like a Spanish program where I'm from for kids where they go to school, but they have to learn math, science, history, English in Spanish. They have to learn how to read. Somebody's going to be telling them how to read, and their teacher is speaking Spanish, which is great for kids who have a Spanish speaking parent at home, or, who can help them, but I cannot help them. I barely know Spanish. But anyways, there's really cool stuff like that. But anyways, if I had one friend, she's Italian, she's from Italy. She met her husband and moved over here. But her daughter speaks Italian and English, and her daughter is 4 or 5. Anyways, so the daughter speaks fluent Italian, and I was like, oh, do you speak Italian to her a lot? And she's like, yeah, I do, but we mostly speak English at home. And I was like, oh, how does she know Italian? She's like, well, if she wants to watch TV, she has to watch it in Italian. Boom. What a great rule. If you want your kid to learn a different language, what a great idea. Like, just if they want to watch TV, if they want to watch Peppa Pig, better be in Spanish, or better be in Italian, German, whatever, because there's translations of all this stuff. So it's a really good idea. Anyways, so I read to my daughter, and my daughter is way, way, way advanced in reading. And they have to get first grade books for her. And she's an early learning kid, so she's already too young to be in kindergarten. And now she's reading first grade books and burning through those. So I'm really, really excited. She's learning all this stuff. She's being encouraged. She's not being bored at school. I'm reading to her constantly, just like books are her life. In fact, last night I had to tell her, she's 5 years old in kindergarten. I had to tell her, I said, hey, turn off your light. You're not allowed to read. And she's like, well, I'm not reading. I'm just making up my own story. So she's writing. So I'm just so proud of her. I will put on movies randomly in different languages, then I didn't even understand them either. I should do that for myself. Yeah, absolutely. We are a bilingual household, but my French is miserable. I'm learning alongside her, even though I took it in school. There's a browser extension called Toucan that changes languages of random text of web pages. My daughter is very cool. I'm obviously very proud of her. She's a total sweetheart, and yeah, she's honestly, she's everything I could have ever wanted. She's a total prankster. She's amazing, and she's really, really smart. And she loves my favorite hobby, which is just like, how'd I get so lucky? It's so cool. But read to your kids, talk to your kids. If they ask you questions about stuff, explain it as best as you can. My daughter is very, very well spoken, always has been. I'm bad because I wish I'm teaching her how to like cook and clean and do stuff around the house that she can do for herself. And it's like, she loves that stuff. She eats it up. She wants to learn how to make eggs because she is so proud of herself when she makes herself breakfast, you know? So that kind of stuff is like one of those things, like, it's so much easier for me to just make you breakfast, but you're going to be pissed off when she's 14 years old and doesn't know how to make herself eggs, you know? So anyways, I try to do that with her, but I read to her a lot. So any books that I can just slide over to her side. So sitting them in front of the TV isn't all that bad either. Well, they say screen time is bad for kids, even if it's learning screen time, because they're at her school, they do screen time all the time. They're like learning games or whatever. And I am really, really reluctant to give my daughter screen time. She's obsessive about it, but she's obsessive about it because I limit it. And meanwhile, my nieces are allowed to watch TV all the time, and they could give a crap about TV. It's on all day, every day. So anyways, I would just monitor everything in moderation, of course. But the less screen time, the better. They're just learning more outside. We got my daughter a little like audiobook thing, and it's cute because it's like these little cards, and you put in the card, like I got her an Alice in Wonderland and a Heidi and a Jungle Book, like all of the audiobooks. And so she just puts the book into her little the card into her little thing, and it reads the book to, you know, it's an audiobook. So it's like, she loves when I read to her. Now she loves that she has an audiobook. So she's constantly like consuming books nonstop, learning how to read to herself, listening to me at night, constantly has her her audiobook on for whatever card she has. Like, the kids love that stuff. If they can't have TV, that's what they have. This much thought into your parenting. I'm an awesome mom because I'm thinking about, I try to be strategic about everything, and being a mom is the most important thing in my life. So yeah, I hope that I'm putting in a little bit of effort. My poor baby, I have a son too, and he hates reading. I cannot get him to sit in my lap to read a book. He's 1 year old, and man, he is not into books. So I'm hoping that once he gets to a certain age where he can understand, I can read a really exciting book. Like I have like Treasure Island, I'm excited to read to him. There's like the Dragon Wings or whatever. Like there's so many like cool books that I'm like, okay, I'm going to save that one for my son. And we can all read it together as a family, because I'm sure my daughter will be interested in it as well. But we'll read it together as a family, and maybe it'll make him interested in books as well, because it's just good for them. And my husband's not a big reader, but he likes like The Princess Bride. Yes, exactly. That's part of what was so exciting in The Princess Bride, when he's like, oh, my, this was what made me become a bookworm. And it's like, everybody has those moments where it's like, I read this book and it made me want to read another book, you know? And that's what I wanted for my husband, and that's what I want for my daughter, and that's what I want for Harrison, because reading books is my favorite thing. And so I just want to like spread the joy, and it's like, and it's just a really fun hobby that I feel like is good for you. Obviously there's plenty of books that are not good for you. I've read books that I've really regretted reading. If I could put them on a banned list, I would. Talking to you, Kite Runner, I freaking hate that book, even though it's like award-winning. I hate Kite Runner with a passion. But I just, like, not all books are good for you, but you learn things, and you get to live in somebody else's, and it's an art, and you're, flexing your brain muscles, and Anyways, I read a lot of Stephen King when I was young. I have never read a Stephen King. I'm not into scary stuff, so I don't think I ever will read Stephen King. I know some people are like, he's the GOAT. He's like the man, and I know that he is, but at the same time, I don't think I will ever. Maybe one day around, like 1 year around Halloween, I will, as like a spooky read. I don't know though. Stephen King. I don't know if I want that in my house. I have to like sage it, like get this evil out because it's so scary. But yeah, it's more like mystery stuff. He's not all that scary. Well, I liked the movie Misery and The Shining, but I get scared easily. I'm sensitive. I hated it. It scared the crap out of me as a kid, and when it came out with the new version, which the new version's high quality horror, of course. My husband was so excited, but I was shaking. I was like sick to my stomach. I was so scared, and he made me go with him because I lost a bet. So I had to go to the movies with him to go watch it. Maybe it is scary for me. Yes, it is scary for me. I read Goosebumps as a kid. I read like Goosebumps back to back to back to back to back, constantly going to the library and checking out Goosebumps all the time. Reading is a net positive, but as I've become older, I've tried to be more aware of the information I allow in my life, if that makes sense. My schema. Absolutely. Because it's like, if you think about, you are what you eat. It's the same for your mind. You know, you are what you consume. If you consume like books that are good for you, that enrich your mind, that are positive, then maybe that will have an effect on your mind. If you read a bunch of dark books that are evil or like have, dark subject matter or depressing or whatever, then that will have an effect on your mind. So, I think that that's absolutely true. You should be careful about what you consume, both with your food, both with your media and books and everything. The people that you surround yourself with, you should be careful. You protect your peace, And I'm most excited about reading because of awesome eye-opening knowledge that I can acquire from it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there have been so many like survivor type books where I was reading, and you learn like kind of survivor tips just from reading a story about a girl who gets lost in the woods. There's, and you read, were you the one that said that they read mostly nonfiction? I can't remember, Felsta. But if you're reading a lot of nonfiction, obviously you're learning a lot. I have so many good nonfiction books that I got about the like water crisis and plastic and environmental stuff. Okay, only nonfiction. Okay, so let me get my nonfiction, because I have like a whole nonfiction section really quick, and we'll just like, obviously have gone off the rails here on as far as like what I'm talking about, but hang on just a sec. So I have David McCulloch, the Wright brothers. And if you've not heard of David McCulloch, he is, If you've not heard of David McCulloch, I don't know if you've ever heard of James Adams, the miniseries on HBO. But that is based off of, or James Adams, excuse me. That is based off of John Adams, the book, that David McCulloch wrote. So he's an historical author, but he writes books, his history books, in a way that it reads like fiction. So it's like beautifully written history books, and he's written a ton. And so I've gotten John Adams. I got that Theodore Roosevelt book, that I haven't gone over yet, Mornings on Horseback, and then I have the Wright brothers. They're supposed to be really, really good books, but they're history books and they're written like fiction. So that's one of the books, one of the nonfiction books that I have, and then I have Less, which is like a super another Pulitzer Prize winner. This is about basically consumption. It's like being less wasteful type of stuff. So this book is supposed to be really good, and this is nonfiction. Obviously, it's about that. I love to read those for sure. And then I have. Okay, so then I have Blue Covenant, another one about water and how important water is as a resource. Cadillac Desert, same exact story. These are all about the American West and its disappearing water. Like this is, so I started getting really into water, learning about water and its importance and everything. I started really getting into that when I heard that, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Big Short, but there was that guy who basically made a ton of money predicting the fall of the stock market crash because of the real estate stuff and the short bonds and stuff. So anyways, so he made a bunch of money predicting that the economy was going to collapse. And they were like, he doesn't have anything to say, but all of, subprime loans. Thank you. All of his investments now are surrounding water. Everything's about water. So it's like, oh my gosh. So then I got Water, the epic struggle for wealth, power, and civilization. I just started getting into all these water books. Kind of late on the topic, but anyways, I learned to read when I was 4, and I was pretty good at reading for my age, but all my interest in books got killed in primary school. To finish class. It was way too easy, and there wasn't anything to challenge myself with. Lost most of my interest in books by grade 4. Don't let this message try to talk you too much. That's part of the reason why I got, that's part of the reason why I got the well-trained mind, because the American school system pretty much bases its education off of like what the other kids are doing. So you're kind of just got to make sure that you're better than the slowest kid in class instead of just being like the best that you can be. And so I was like, okay, well, if I don't homeschool, I'm at least going to supplement her education so she doesn't get bored. So that's kind of been my philosophy. It takes a lot of time to educate your child on your own. Excuse me. Anyways, so these are my water books. Very excited about water books. And then these, it does say that in the post credits on that movie. So I was like, okay, because I read this one about the Flint, Michigan, water. I think it was called like Dirty Water or something like that. Very poorly written book, but very interesting topic that I had not heard of. Imagine being in modern America and you can't get clean water and kids are dying and everybody's getting sick and nobody cares. Like, what the heck? I'd freak out. And then I have, so this is My Dearest Friend. This is John and Abigail Adams' letters to each other, and it's like a nonfiction romance. It's about John. These are the letters from John Adams and Abigail Adams to each other, because obviously John Adams spent a lot of time away from home. And they wrote their letters together and saved them, and this is them. So I'm really excited to read that. As far as nonfiction books go. And then last, I got this book, Emily Post's etiquette book, as a gag gift, kind of, because I can be a little bit crass sometimes. But I am excited to read it. And I got a kid's version of it. So me and my daughter, read them or read the etiquette books while we have our tea parties, so we can have princess manners. So anyways, these are my nonfiction books. I don't have a ton of them. I think I have more, but these are my I do have a lot more, but they're like coding books. They're like work books. So anyways, as far as nonfiction recommends, that's what I have. Last time I checked, it's still happening in Flint, but people just forgot and don't care anymore. It's so messed up. So crazy. Like, why don't people care about that stuff? And I have not seen the movie Dark Waters. I've never heard of it. But I am interested in water and preserving water and like plastic and its effect on its environment and the garbage patch. And I'm interested in that stuff. I just don't know what to do other than, the single use, try and not use so many single use products. And so I've tried to make small changes around my house, but I want to make a bigger impact if I can, and always vote with my dollar if I can. And I just want to educate myself on stuff like this so I can try and help, even though I feel helpless, Yeah, that's how I feel like a lot of people feel with this stuff, is just helpless. My dad says we don't need to drink water anyways. He told me to just give my daughter watermelon. What the heck? That's cheaper. Buy a bunch of watermelon. I used to work for a sustainable farming company. The 3 R's are in order of importance. I used to work for a sustainable farming. It was basically a company that was devoted to spreading information about using sustainable practices in farming. Very cool job. I wish I still worked there. I wish I could like volunteer there, but I had to get a real job. Anyways, so there's so many things that we can do in manufacturing and in farming and in our day-to-day stuff that can really, really help. But it just requires it requires changes that I don't think a lot of people would like to make. So we'll see. Reduce first, then reuse, then recycle. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I was kidding about the watermelon, by the way. I cannot believe you don't need. Just use the natural system of getting water to your child. Watermelon's a natural filter. Yeah, no, water is very, very, very important. Water is the most important. We cannot live without it. Who cares about water and the bees and the ocean and our food? And we're all just going to die. Very cheerful very cheerful video today, guys. I seriously can't. I grew up on well water because I lived out in the middle of nowhere in a trailer with an outhouse and a well. So, best book classic to understand a lot of why things are the way they are is Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky. Might have to put that on my list. Felsta, will you please join our book club so I can you can just message me directly all this stuff on Discord so I can actually add it to my list. That sounds awesome. Anyways, back to I'm like not even halfway through my reading list here. Yes, totally do. It's all of the links to the book club are on my like about page. So you should totally join it, and then we can join. And textual too, if you want to. That would be cool. And then if you want to, this is not necessarily like a traditional book club. I've never been part of a book club, but I mostly just it's a thing about books. Books is the subject, so we're calling it a book club. And I read a lot of books, and I tell people ahead of time which books I'm reading. So, anyways, The Coldest Girl in Coldtown, Holly Black. Read everything by her. I absolutely love her. I love her writing style. I love her characters. I love the blend of violence and plot. And it's not too mature because I feel like modern fantasy is just all smut and I can't stand it. It's just, it reads wrong to me. So anyways, this is, hey, welcome, Felsda. I just got a notification on my watch that you're in the server right now. That's awesome. But anyways, Holly Black, if you're into fiction, which it sounds like most people here are more into nonfiction, but if you're into fiction, check it out. She's awesome. She's one of my favorite fiction authors. Coldest Girl in Coldtown is just one from her. So is Ironside, Valiant, and Tithe, also by her. And then The Prisoner's Throne and Stolen Heir, which are a follow-up from in the Folk of the Air series. So this is the same universe that I've already read. So this is also on my list of books to read. And then following up on that is One for My Enemy, which is another book that I talked about last week when I was talking about my Christmas book haul. This was on that list. And then after that, I have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games books, which I've heard this book is awesome, like even better than the Hunger Games books. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. And then Ninth House, written by Leigh Bardugo, who is my favorite fantasy author. She wrote the Six of Crows, or she wrote the Grishaverse series, Six of Crows, and the King of Stars, like the whole Grishaverse series. She wrote that, and it's the best. Anyway, so I got this, and guess what it says on it? The best fantasy novel I've read in years. Stephen King said that. Says that right on this book. If you can read it. The best fantasy novel I read in years by Stephen King. He said that about this book. So I'm very excited about this book because it's my favorite fantasy author. And Stephen King's like, no joke, this is good. So I'm reading that. I'm very excited about it. It's a dark academia book. Very, very much looking forward to that. American Psycho. I'm going to read that by Bret, Easton, Ellis. Very, very excited about this. Obviously, there's the movie, which is good, but I'm excited about the book, which is supposed to be scary. So I was planning on reading this sometime around Halloween time because I'm not a big Stephen King fan. And This Girl's a Killer, which I talked about this. This is like kind of a Dexter girl where she kills killers, right? So I'm excited about reading this, especially if I read it kind of close to American Psycho. It'd be fun to read like, oh, okay, I'm reading American Psycho where there's this guy who goes around killing girls, and then I read the girl who kills guys who kill girls. I think that'll be good to read back to back. They better have, I'm so excited for the Songbirds book and also the Ninth House. They better have good audiobooks. The movie is brilliant because Christian Bale plays it. The way he does it. Yes, I'm excited. I don't know much about the book itself. Obviously the movie's a classic. And it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, it was like, that book was like made by women. And I assumed that the book was written by women because it's like famously a story written by women. But the author is a man, so I don't, and which is fine. Obviously, I read plenty of books written by men, but there is a different vibe to it. So anyways, I'm reading American Psycho. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is it's a short book, by Douglas Adams. And I've heard this book is hilarious. So I'm really excited. I feel like this is like has like a cult following. Obviously the movie came out about it, but the book is supposed to be really, really good. I've never seen the movie, although I do remember something about mice being the smartest. Is that this book where it's like mice are smarter than humans or something like that? I don't know. But anyways, I got this book, which I'm really excited to read. Norm Macdonald. His book based on a true story. I bought this book for my husband, and this is how far he got. And this was a few years ago. And I said, hey, can I take out your bookmark? And he said, no, why would you want to do that? And I was like, well, I'm probably going to read it. And he's like, no, I'm going to read it. Okay. It's been like 2 or 3 years. So I don't think so, but anyways, going to read this one. I barely remember the movie, to be honest, but everyone quotes it a lot. Yeah. I only know the answer 42 things is from it, but I haven't seen it. 42. Okay, I don't know what you guys are talking about. So I'm looking forward to reading the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because it's a class. It's supposed to be like good and funny, and I love a funny book, and I want to be on the jokes, you know? Like I think there's like a lot of like inside jokes for that one. Hello, Stefan Base Hunter. No one spoil that book for me because again, I haven't seen the movie and I'm really looking forward to the book. So and I'll watch the movie after I read the book. And hello, Stefan, welcome to the chat and welcome to the book club. Anyways, and then I have Mornings on Horseback, which is David McCulloch, which I had explained. He is the nonfiction author who writes so good it sounds like it like reads like fiction. And this is Theodore Roosevelt, who is one of the most interesting presidents. If you're not familiar with Theodore Roosevelt, he was kind of like this adventurer president, and he's the one who created the national park system. So he was like all about preserving the land and love. He's a character. He's a character. He's a weird president. So I'm really interested in learning more about him in an interesting light. So that was very fun. Hey, thanks for following me, Stefan. And then the second to the idiot, who I forget who it was that was like, there's the idiot on there twice. I think, was it you, Textual, who was saying that? Man, they don't make them like that anymore. Watching the movie after a book is usually underwhelming. Yes, but I don't ever want to watch the movie before a book. I always want to read the book first. So I feel like I know all the secrets, and it's a lot more fun that way. It makes it a little bit more exciting. And I fell in love with this because the first time I did this was with Harry Potter. So it was like you read the books and then you waited anxiously for the movies to come out, which was so much fun. And then I don't know who here read the Twilight books when they were coming out, but that was another one where me and my family read the Twilight books the second that they came out. We went and bought expensive hardcover the second that it was published. And then when the movies came out, we were so excited. And it just like, it's just such a vibe, like reading these or watching these movies. I still haven't read or seen Harry Potter. Now I feel like it's too late. You can go through it with your kids. Yeah, you had to be there. It's definitely, I feel like a lot of the hype around Harry Potter is the nostalgia piece of it. Because if you're reading it as a kid and it's magical and it introduces you to books, that's part of where your heart ties to that story. It's an interesting story. But read it to your, I plan on reading it to my daughter during Halloween time. So I told her, I was like, because she's like, I want to read Harry Potter. I want to get right into it because her cousins are really into it. And I was like, I don't think we're quite ready for Harry Potter. And so this Halloween, I was like, how about this? How about you keep learning how to read on your own? And if you think you're ready and you don't think you'll be scared, I will read to you the first Harry Potter book next Halloween. And she was like, okay. And so this October, 2025 October, I plan on reading to her Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And then we'll talk about reading the next book because it gets obviously a little bit more mature as the books go on. So I might like do a Harry Potter every year until she can read them on her own or something, because she's kind of a sensitive kid. So anyways, this is my second The Idiot book that I'm really excited to read. This is like a sophisticated comedy. We'll see how I like it, but this is my this is just like a totally random book that I found on the shelf and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And then I've been dying to read the Witcher series. And I look at this box and I'm like, if I read this, it's going to take me a while and I won't be able to read any of my other books. So I'm kind of more going for like the standalone books right now, but I am dying to read the Witcher series. I loved the show. I heard that these books are phenomenal, like so better than the show. And it's like totally my vibe. Like I totally love like the magic and I love like the fighting. I'm so excited for it. So all of these books, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books are added to the end of my 2025 reading list. So I'm really excited to read this. Okay, hang on. Is that what the games are based on? Yes, I'm pretty sure the video games are based on the books. The show is based on the books. I don't think anything is based on a video game. I think everything is based off of the series. Dude, keep me updated on what you're reading because I want to join for sure. The games are based on the universe, but set after the events of the books. Okay. So yes, I will let you know, Cherry, when I start a new book or when I know what I'm going to have planned next, I'll let you know, or I'll touch base with you and say, hey, what do you want to read? It's so much. That's why I did this, is it's so much fun to read with people. So yeah. And everybody, too, if you're a part of the book club and you're reading a book and nobody else is reading it, post it as a topic in our book talk section. And then that way you can, if anybody is like, oh yeah, I wanted to actually read that book, I'll start reading it with you. And then you guys can chat about it as you read it. So we don't all have to be reading the same book at the same time. You can start your own kind of like sub book club and say, hey, I'm reading this book about dinosaurs. It's really good if anybody wants to join. And then somebody be like, oh, I wanted to read that book, and then pop in. Like that's kind of like, I feel like that's kind of the goal here. But anyways, I made it through my whole 2025 book list. I'm hoping that I'll be able to read these faster than a year and be able to add more books to my list. But these are my priority books. These are the ones, this is my New Year's resolution to get all of these books read. And I'm really hoping, again, that I can get them all done before the end of the year. So we'll see. The third game does tie in some of the book events. Well, I don't play video games, so this will be a fun little tie-in for Twitch. And I can tag it as The Witcher books. Anybody who's played the games, if you're interested in the books, come at me because I read them. Actually, I think the first game might tie in one of them too. It's been a while since I played them. The only thing I know about the Witcher games is there's like memes about the about how his horse like flies or something, or is like up in the air or something like that. I don't know. There's like funny memes about the horse, and how it's like unreal. It doesn't match what's in the it doesn't match what's in the show, because in the show his horse is 6 feet in the air all the time, because in the video games he is. Because apparently it was just like a ton of glitches. Weird, because it's playing the event of the book, but it's supposedly set after everything. Maybe it makes sense. So the series is like, so if you look at the book, it says like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it stops, and then these are like one-offs. So I don't know what these last ones are. So it says The Witcher, Season of Storms, The Witcher, Sword of Destiny, The Witcher, The Last Witch. So I don't really know how what order these are supposed to be in. And I bet you my daughter she likes to take these out and play with them. Yeah. So anyways, really, really looking forward to all of these books. So if you're interested, thanks for following Felsta. If you're interested, totally join the book club. And these are the books that I will be reading. And if you have any recommendations, totally read your own book. And then maybe other people will want to be like, yeah, I'll read that one with you. Because it is so fun to read a book with people. It's seriously like a blast. I just realized one of my books. I got a mess here. I got a big old mess. All my books are everywhere. And my husband won't let me put up more shelves for my books. So we still have the shelves that we bought. So I'm going to put them up. We just can't agree on what. I was like, I'll put them on the other side of the door, but then I can't get to my side of the bed, which is not smart. And I sleepwalk, so I will definitely be running into those a lot. So I got to find a place for my books, because I'm not putting them in a box. I'm not storing them anywhere. I want to look at them. They are decoration. They are my joy. I'm keeping them everywhere. If I could, I'd I'd line every single wall in this house with books, because I love them. Obviously. If I could, I'd put the shelf above your head height. I was like, my headlight on my car? What's a headlight? Okay, so that's another thing, is 5 books are full series, 2 are short stories, and 1 is a prequel. Okay, thank you, Stefan. So you've read these, obviously. You want to read them again with me? Maybe we could. Maybe that'd be fun. I'm really excited about the Witcher series. I might move these up on my list, but I don't want to like have the book club and it just be like, oh yeah, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of just The Witcher. I feel like that would be not fun for everybody if I'm just talking about The Witcher every single week. So I don't know when I'm going to be planning The Witcher, but because I'm going to want to read them back to back to back. So we'll see. I want to have some variety in my books that I'm reading. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. I don't know. I know that I'm going to be reading them, and odds are I'm also going to be buying more books in between now and December 31st of this year. So we'll see what happens. I love The Witcher. I'm down for 8 weeks of Witcher. Honestly, maybe, right? Like, I love The Witcher too. It's pretty great. And in a series though, when it's a series, I read faster too. And, yeah, maybe we will read these. The first book is The Witcher, Blood of Elves. Oh, the evil elves. The elves freak me out in The Witcher. They are not fun. I watched the show twice and then played all the games. Yeah, I'm a huge Henry Cavill fan. I watched that show for the plot. No, the plot is amazing. The plot's amazing. Jesker's amazing. The Yennefer is amazing. The Witcher's amazing. Everybody's amazing. It's a great, 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 great show. And then apparently Henry Cavill is like a huge Witcher nerd. And he was like, the part of the reason why he didn't want to do the show anymore is he's like, no, you guys aren't staying true to the books, which are amazing and better than what you're writing. Please fix this. So it's like, ooh, that made me want to read the books. I was like, okay, it's better. It's like way better than this. Sign me up. Because I love the storyline. The plot is like magic. magic and fighting and, training. So it's all good. I watched the show twice. Oh, same for the plot. Named his biceps Plot. Yeah, he's you know how they have like, oh, he cleans up nice. Like, yeah, he grubs up nice. He looks good with a little dirt on him. I love him so much. He's such a nerd. He built his own PC and played all the Witcher games too. Yeah, I mean, we love a good nerd, like a smoking hot nerd. Yeah, he's very good looking fella. Not as handsome as my husband. I would like the record to state that I will never say that, but yeah, he's a good looking guy. I am very excited about this year. How exciting to start the book with all of this book. To start my year with all of these books. I'm very, very excited. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be metal. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to learn a lot. And I'm really excited if any of you guys want to come on this with me. It's going to be good. And I can talk forever about a book. So if you're excited about a book and you want to chat about it, man, am I right there with you. She would never choose Henry Cavill over her husband. I wouldn't. First of all, my husband is drop dead gorgeous, but he's also my best friend. It's not going to get better than that. Sorry, Henry. I know you're in love with me, but I'm taken by a guy who's just a little bit better than you. Okay? Sign us up. Yes! I will try. So I only have like 3 nonfiction books selected in here, and that's if you count Norm Macdonald. Because I'm counting that one as a nonfiction. But the rest of it is heavily fiction. We got, I think, a good blend of literature and fantasy and satire and yeah, we got some good stuff. I think I in my opinion, obviously, I'm excited about these books, so I'm hoping that you guys will be excited too. Oh, okay. I'm down for Norm Macdonald and the Hitchhiker's Guide at least. Nice! Getting you off of your nonfiction. I spoke to a gal and she was like, I used to read nonfiction like as a rule. Like I never read fiction. I thought fiction was a waste of time. And then I started reading fiction and I was like, this is not a waste of time. It seems like it would be because you're not like broadening your mind, but you are. It just doesn't feel like it. And sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're just entertaining yourself. But I don't think that fiction is a waste of time. I don't think reading anything is a waste of time. Well, I've read a lot of stuff where I was like, I wish I didn't spend so much freaking time on this because I hated it and it didn't get better. And just like that Serial podcast that I listened to and didn't find out who the killer really was. But I also watch movies. So, hey, yeah, I don't watch movies. I do not watch movies. I used to be like a huge TV addict, but I can't sit down for them anymore. I cannot sit down for a movie. My husband has to like force me to watch something. We tried to start watching the Dune new series that came out. I don't know if anybody's watched that, but I have the Dune books and I've read the first 2. I have not read past the first 2. They're not on my list for this year. Maybe I'll get to them next year, or maybe if I have time, I'll get to them this year. But the Dune movie was excellent. The second Dune movie was okay. After reading the books, I was like, this could have been done better. And then the Dune show is trash. Absolute trash. Man, do I hate that they did that to that show. And it's got my guy Mark Strong in it. I love him. But I don't know if any of you guys have heard of the new Dune show, but sorry, I'm going off. It's not great. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not buying into the romance. The acting is not great. The plot is weird. When you don't like literally anybody, any of the characters on the screen, there's a problem. I am not rooting for anybody. I hope they all get eaten by a worm. The only one I care about is the worm. Thank you, Shai Halud. Anyways, I'm very excited. I don't watch TV as much as I used to, but I'm very excited about my books. Exciting year. Go 2025. And my family, who I love dearly, will be leaving my sanctuary, which is my house, going back to their jobs, going back to their schools, and I will have more time to read. I as I will need more bookshelves soon. And you know what? I'll show you. I got some. I got bookshelves. But my husband won't install them. And he won't let me install them because we can't agree on where to put them. But I already, if you could see okay, so here's the thing. I have these stacks of books, okay? And some of these go back up on the shelves. A lot of these, and I have them on the bed too now. I have books here. My lamp is currently being held up by the entire Game of Thrones series, Catch-22, The Help, The Grapes of Wrath, and a Bible. That's what's underneath my lamp because I don't have space for those books. So anyways, I do need some more shelves. It's starting to really annoy my husband. He's like, there's books everywhere. And I was like, yes, isn't it great? And he's like, no, it's not great. Can we organize these a bit? Go towards the ceiling. So you need a small ladder to get them. It will feel like an old library. Okay. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know what I should do? Is I should just put the shelves up. I should just keep going up the wall because we have really tall walls in here. So like, I'll just keep going up there and it will make the room look bigger and taller if you fill that space. And I was like, but then I won't be able to reach any of my books. So I can't do that. I don't want a ladder to get to my books. And then also my husband said no. So anyways, that's what I'm working with. Okay. Anyways, I have to go. But anyway, I'll see. True, it could look cool. It could look cool, but it could also look really weird. So we'll figure it out. I'll update you next week because neither of us are happy with the state of just books lying on every single flat surface in our house right now and giant stacks that could potentially fall and kill our children. So have a good day. See ya, Felsda. See ya, Cherry. See ya, Stefan. See ya, Textual. See ya, Mango, if you're still there. See ya, Josie, if you're still there. I don't know who else is here. Oh, Bret, if you're still there. Bye. See everybody later, and I hope to catch you at the next stream, and I hope to catch you on Discord. Adios.